Hi everyone, welcome to Speak Brave Podcast. I'm sure happy that you joined us. It was my good friend John Morrow.
Hello everybody.
And don't forget that we have a Black and Brew coffee shop that is available for you to taste. Thanks, welcome everyone. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Ready?
What are we going to talk about today?
We'll talk about how to live an extraordinary life.
I'd like to live an extraordinary life, although I consider my life to be extraordinary at times. You're going to kind of peel back a few layers and tell us about the way we can make it even more extraordinary in all kinds of phases?
Absolutely.
I tell you what,
Absolutely.
this is a
Absolutely.
go-to subject that a lot of people want.
This is no secret. The secret to extraordinary life lies within ourselves and with the choices we make.
Absolutely. And I agree with you on choices. Everything that we do, everything we experience is the result of choices we have made.
Absolutely. And I could not have a better speaking partner to talk about this than my friend John. So let's get going.
You really need to understand something. When I'm working with Mark, I benefit as much, if not more, than many of you who follow us. And you need to know that this, for me, is just as delightful an experience as it is for you. So I join with you in expressing our appreciation to you, Mark, for what you bring and what you give to us and what you give in such rich information and content. It's life-changing. I'm grateful for that.
Hallelujah. Amen.
All right, my friend.
Amen.
Ladies and
Amen.
gentlemen, as part of the process here, even though you're looking at a YouTube video and other videos, we will be starting a countdown momentarily to begin the podcast portion of the presentation, which is what we upload to the various locations. Mark will be telling you about how you can subscribe and access his podcasts at the end of the program. Mark, I'm ready to go, so I'm going to give you a countdown here for the start of the program in 3, 2.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Speak Brave Podcast. I am so delighted you're joining us today. Hey, John.
Hello, Mark. It's good to see you. A delightful day. Glad I can be with you.
I'm grateful for you and for your presence and everything you bring and everything that you make to make sure that this podcast are at the best high level that we can do.
I'd like to express my appreciation very quickly to the Lakeland Public Library for the use of their tutoring room. And this is a nice facility. We normally record at the Winter Haven Library, but they're all part of the same system, and they are excellent facilities.
Excellent.
So thank you, Lakeland Public Library. And also Black and Brew. They have a coffee house right here in the library. Thank you for your wonderful coffee. Mark?
Absolutely.
Very important subject and one that I'm eager to hear about. And you've got limited time, so let's dive into it.
Absolutely. John, today on the episode, I'd like to talk about an idea, a concept, but more than just an idea, a way of life. And the title of this podcast is How to Live an Extraordinary Life.
How to live an extraordinary life.
Right. When you think, or when you first hear the title of this episode, you may be thinking, oh, I don't have time to live an extraordinary life, or I would like to live an extraordinary life, but who has the time to understand what it takes? Who has the time to really sit down and dedicate 5 minutes, 50 minutes, 25 minutes just to understanding what makes an extraordinary life? I believe that we are so busy. We are busy because maybe too much for our own good. We're busy with social media. We're busy with, and I would call this the not existential stuff, but stuff that we have to do, but we really don't have to do. And a lot of times we load our brains, our minds, our bodies with stuff that we don't have to do. And this is this episode where we're gonna talk about what does it really take to be at peace with yourself. And I feel that we record this podcast at the end of the 2018. And as the year comes to a close, a lot can happen in a year. Good things, bad things, no things, right? Sometimes nothing happens. And I think you always taught me, John, that and shared with me that our choices make a difference in our lives.
Right.
And I am just like you who is listening. I am trying to figure it out. I am trying to figure it out in a way that makes sense in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm so passionate about this subject, and so maybe we'll do this one episode, maybe we'll do more, but I definitely want to talk about this at length because this is so important. There's somebody out there who needs to hear this.
I
There's
agree. I need to hear it.
Yeah,
There is never a day in life where we do not need to learn more.
absolutely.
And that includes taking a close look at ourselves and understanding the consequences of our choices and the benefits as well.
What I would say is that sometimes we face a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
And a dead end may be of choices, maybe of circumstances, maybe of just the cards we've been handed or played, or a combination of both, right? And what I have found is that if you find yourself in a dead end, it's very hard to pull yourself out if you are continuing doing the same things. So if you, for example, thinking, okay, why do I always make bad decisions? Right?
Or what seem to be
A bad decision.
decisions.
Or why do I feel like, crappy? Why do I feel
I
crappy?
have days like that.
We do. It's normal, right? It's a part
Do
of
you ever
human.
find yourself regretting the choices you make sometimes and wishing you'd done it differently?
Yes,
20/20 hindsight?
right. But what I really want to focus on is that I think help is available.
Mm-hmm, I agree.
And I think that we as humans in the United States and maybe other countries, we forget that there's a larger community of people who will help you,
Mhm.
and to them, it's not that it's like their life and death situation. For them, this is what they do. This is what they live. This is what they think about. This
And
is
these
what
are
they...
the people that you want to align yourself with, because this is part of that Jim Rohn ethic of you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and you need to begin to change the influences that are there so your choices can improve. Yes, exceptional living can occur, and I believe that.
Extraordinary living. So what I would urge everyone, if you have holiday blues, or if you feel that you came up short in 2018, or if you feel that you didn't achieve your dreams or goals or resolutions or whatever the milestones you set for yourself, I want to tell you it's okay. I want you to hear what I'm saying. I want you to hear and understand and let it go to your heart. It's okay. You did everything the best way you can. And I want you to honor what you did. I want you to honor the spirit of your life. What I want you to think about is there is help out there. There is help of people who care. There's help from people that can guide you out of your detour. And I want you to ask for help. Whatever that help is. Maybe it's a help where you can just ask for a book. Maybe it's a help, you call your friend. You call your friend today and you say, you know what, I just need you to listen. I just need you to listen. I don't need judgment. I don't need you to help or fix or to do anything, but I just need you to listen. And that's one way that you can release things that are standing in your way. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense to me, but at the same time, I'm eager to hear from you at some of the more important, deeper levels, realizing though that in a way this is an introduction, so how this evolves really depends upon, one, how much you're able to share, and I know you have it in a concise area, but
yes.
I may ask you questions and I will apologize in advance if it protracts and forces you to have to do another podcast, which I'm never disappointed with.
Right. What I would say, John, is some people may believe when they listen to this podcast, Mark, I think you've done it this time. You went and you went in a very interesting direction. But because the way that I live my life, John, or the way that I like to live my life is to be incurably grateful for everything that I have. So it's like it's an exuberant gratefulness. And sometimes it's hard for me to contain. And if I go to grocery shopping and then I see something on sale and I'm so grateful for it. Or I see some kind of something happening on the road. I'm grateful for it. Or if I see that I wake up and I see this beauty that we live in a paradise where we live, and I'm grateful for it. And not only am I grateful silently, I say it out loud on a consistent basis.
Good.
Now, if
There's a
you,
reinforcing mechanism in expressing that.
yeah, and if you're not used to it, I think it may be jarring to
Yeah.
someone.
Some people don't sit down and really think about blessings or think about gratefulness or think about just being thankful for that specific moment.
But I don't want to just be on the surface gratefulness.
I'm sure.
I really
It's
want
an
to
internal
go
process.
internally.
Yeah.
I want to go as deep as I can,
Mhm.
and I want to be. I want to make sure that it starts with me.
That takes extraordinary discipline, I believe, and there's that word extraordinary again. And I like the idea. Has anybody ever really broken down the word extraordinary? It's the word extra and then ordinary. Now, some would say, well, that's just an ordinary person. No, we're all ordinary to a degree in a lot of things, and that's not a negative. We're not, just average plain people. We are each uniquely designed. But I have a strong feeling that those who are considered in the current definition of the word extraordinary are extraordinary, not in terms so much of what they look like, what they say, what their talents are, but rather in their perception, if I could say that. Would that be correct? Their perception and mindset of living and how they view life moment by moment. Would that, in your opinion, be a correct statement?
Yeah, I think that leads me to a second point that I want to say. So first one, deep gratitude. Deep gratitude that lives within your bones. The second part is you define your extraordinary. You define what extraordinary life is for you. Is that learning Spanish, when you are 65, right? When you're learning and you're trying to get on the second or third or fourth or fifth language, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. You define your experience.
Right. And you define what your extraordinary level of life is. Okay, so what I would say is, wherever you are right now, you define your extraordinary. Ask for help. Stay curious. Stay curious about the world. And wherever you find yourself, have the breath of gratitude throughout every day, in the morning, afternoon, evening, because that's what really helped me. Because I'm only talking about things that helped me. And I think that could be helpful to others as well. So it's proven. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And one of the things what I realized, John, is that a lot of people, we talked about this at length for a couple of years, right? We talked about self-awareness.
Yes.
You can't really be successful unless you really know who you are.
Yes.
And what I really found out about myself, John, is that I work the best when I have a nurturing environment of high-quality mentors, peers, and allies.
Yes.
So for me, this is a big part of the purpose of my life, is to create alliances, to create partnerships, to create influences and circles of my tribe and the tribe that I belong to. And I tried to do things on my own. I tried to do things saying I will figure it out. I will, and I do sometimes. But what I have found more effective is much easier to connect and partner with somebody who's done it, where I want to be, or somebody I admire, respect, and like, and connect with them. And what I have found is that my time for learning has decreased. The learning curve has been compressed because I reach out for for alliances, and that's what I've known about myself.
I get the sense that because you do this, there's less spinning of the wheels. The time becomes not so much compressed as more, may I say, optimized, because now you're utilizing the time to bring in more of the things that will make that time and that learning much more effective and much quicker.
Right.
Could that possibly be an accurate description?
Yeah. And I think, what I have found is if you stay in a negative state of mind, you will never get out until you choose to get out.
Do you know people who are seemingly constantly in a negative state? Because I do.
I do as well, John.
they're the kind of people, sadly, that you may appreciate them, love them, and care dearly for them, but at some point you have to draw the line in the sand and get away from them simply because they serve as an impediment or a deterrent to your growth and your education and your progress. So there's a choice.
There's the choice. And I think the worldview that you live, John, and I live, is the one of growth and progress.
Mm-hmm.
And when we encounter someone who is not, it's jarring.
Yes.
And it's I think it's a misalignment, and it causes us to withdraw from who we are. And I do know people who, and I just, you know what, it actually irritates me very much.
Yeah.
Why is that? I heard a story from Jim Rohn. You know, Jim Rohn is the granddaddy of self-development. He said that, you know, your language determines your world. Your vocabulary determines your world.
The words of your mouth and the meditations of your heart.
Right.
I'm just citing a scriptural passage, but it has great weight.
And what he said was vocabulary and language determines your world and the size of your world, right? And also, and he was talking about this interesting analogy. He said, okay, take someone who lives in a little room, and their language is very simple or limited, and this is all their world is, and they don't want anything bigger. They don't want, or they cannot handle anything bigger. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And they're happy to occupy this little room,
And that's a key word, happy.
Yeah.
Or at least they seem to be.
Yeah.
They think they are.
Right. And I think if you are not satisfied to be stuck in that little room, to get out, to move through, you must be curious about the world. You have to be intentional about learning, and you have to stay open to new experiences, new people, new way of doing and realizing things, and things that are better. Because if you're staying in the negative, in your little world, in your little room, in your little space, I feel that it's very hard to get out.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting detour we took.
Which
but
brings
this
us
is
to a
the truth.
procrastination point too, because you know you need to get out, but if you keep putting it off, you're only digging the hole deeper.
Right. So we come to an end to this episode, and we're going to continue this because we're just
Please.
getting started. Because I have a lot more to say.
And there's a lot more here for me to take notes on and apply. I really do. I pour over this stuff. I can't tell those of you that are watching as well as listening to the podcast, if you're not taking notes, if you're not going back and listening and pulling more of the gems out of Mark's conversation with you here in this podcast, you need to, because what I see coming from Mark isn't just what he's saying based upon his research. You have to understand, Mark Guy lives what he's talking about, because Mark is, like all of us, regardless of our age, a continuing masterpiece being created. The masterpiece is only getting better. Do you want to be a masterpiece, or do you just want to be a plain rock sitting in one spot, making no difference whatsoever? I believe that we are all capable of being masterpieces, being extraordinary, and having increasing value. But we must begin first, am I correct, with our perception and our mindset as it relates to ourselves.
And you have to have the hunger to,
Oh, yes. Thank you.
to this. You cannot be satisfied with where you are now. You have this hunger, this drive to get out. So, John, thank you for being my conversational partner. Thank you everyone who is listening now, and who will be listening on repeat. Thank you for your share, you're part of this community. I appreciate every one of you. You could be listening to so many things, but you chose to spend this time with us.
Please tell everyone how they can tune into you, as well as watch you and reach you, if so, at any one of a number of places, so we can increase your tribe and get more subscriptions for Speak Brave.
Speak Brave is a labor of love. You can Google it. You can find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, everywhere where music is heard. Please share, like, subscribe, comment. I cannot wait to hear from you, and we will continue this conversation, how to live an extraordinary life. because more than anything, I want everyone who is listening to really improve the quality of their lives, because it's so worth it. And don't forget to speak brave. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this, and you'll join us next time on the Speak Brave podcast. I cannot wait to see you again.